Hello fellow classmates and random YouTubers, this is Kate and I'm excited to be sharing my Pecha Kucha with you on 20 architects you'll want to get to know. The architects in this presentation are in no particular order of greatness, they're just in there how they're in there. I hope you enjoy the topic as much as I do. Many, for the sake of simplicity, have gone straight to the Bilbao architect himself, Frank Gehry. Gehry was by no means unknown when he was commissioned to design the Guggenheim Museum. As early as 1989, he had been awarded the Pritzker Prize. For Gehry, architecture is art combined with a desire to push materials and techniques to new limits. Skidmore, Owings & Merrill was founded in 1936, a design firm that gives technical excellence and business responsibility equal weight with design excellence. A design firm that is not centered on a single designer or personality, but rather a collective enterprise that values collective competence. After some failed attempts at academic and political careers, Daniel Hudson Burnham started working in an architect's office in Chicago. His professional future was sealed when he met his future business partner there, John Welborn Root. Together the pair built a significant proportion of the architecture that has become known as the Chicago School. Of his almost 92 years of life, Frank Lloyd Wright spent 72 as an architect. Unlike many of his colleagues, this devoted family man built above all houses. This self-selected focus did not, however, prevent him from designing one of the best-known museum buildings in the world, the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum in New York. For more than 30 years, what is probably Richard Rogers' most famous building, in the center of Paris, has unfailingly continued to draw the crowds, the Centre Pompidou, sometimes called the Inside Out Building. The culture machine of the 1970s, designed and built by him together with his friend Renzo Piano. The building of towers, not in Babel but worldwide, is one of the main tasks of the firm of Pelly Clark Pelly, founded by Caesar Pelly when he was 41 years old. Today his towers stand in Europe, North America, Asia, and South America. A specialist in tall buildings with offbeat surfaces, Pelly also demonstrates the profundity of his thought with lower-lying projects. As a thinker, author, and architect, the Dutch architect Rem Koolhaas has had a great impact on contemporary architecture. Even before he attracted international attention with his buildings, he was giving food for thought to his colleagues with his books and other writings. His buildings are always realizations of his theory of merging bigness, technology, and progress with humanity. Architecture students have much to learn from Jean Nouvel, how to deal with materials, light and shade, transparency and the illusion of dematerialization, the integration of a building into the site in question and its history, richness of metaphors, the unexpectedly new and different, the playful and the serious, elegance and the grand gesture, all expressed in built architecture. If her brothers had their way, she would have become the first female Iraqi astronaut. Now, Zaha Hadid is the first woman to have received a Pritzker Prize in 2004 and to be among the world stars of architecture. Hadid studied at the Architectural Association in London, where one of her teachers was Rem Koolhaas. In 1980, Hadid founded her own architectural office in London. He wrote more than 30 books on art and architecture, painted and drew, and devoted himself to poetry and furniture making. But it was thanks to his buildings that he became famous. Le Corbusier, the Swiss-born architect, made his name in 3 continents during the 6 decades of his active career, mainly with buildings in concrete. One of the most influential architects of the 20th century, Ludwig Mies rejected an academic education. He learnt his craft in the office of Peter Behrens. Office buildings and exhibition pavilions, factories and museums, private houses and libraries. In the 6 decades of his career, Mies continually discovered new challenges. It was on industrial buildings that Walter Gropius, born in Berlin, founded his reputation. In more than 5 decades of his creative career, he went on to extend his field of operations considerably and devoted himself to social housing as much as to high-rise designs. Above all, his name is linked with the Bauhaus at Dessau. Buildings, from the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank high-rise in Hong Kong and the Reichstag building in Berlin to the Millau Viaduct in France, 2.5 kilometers long, testify to Norman Foster's characteristic combination of inventive design, superb engineering, and ecological concerns. Renzo Piano says of himself that he has no style, at least not a recognizable one, not a style which makes everyone think straight away, "Ah, a building by Renzo Piano." Piano researches every location before he builds on it. This creative way of going about things has made him an architect in great demand, with commissions coming from all over the world. Eero Saarinen said of himself that he had grown up under the drawing board. With an architect father, he had the best possible chance of learning the trade in his early years, becoming one of America's most original designers. One of Saarinen's most important projects, and at the same time one of the largest post-war commissions, was the building of the General Motors Technical Center. The impact of the Viennese-born Richard Neutra can be seen above all in Southern California. His many private houses and villas, from Los Angeles to Palm Springs, are designed on a grand scale, and yet at the same time are impressively integrated in their natural and built environment. Nothing that is not useful can be beautiful. This was the motto of the Viennese-born architect Otto Wagner. His pragmatism by no means stood in the way of his imagination. However, whether it was a question of a fine townhouse or stations on the Vienna urban railway system, his styles ranging from Renaissance revival to avant-garde modernism. Alvar Aalto wanted to be a painter. In the end, he took up a career as an architect as a compromise with his parents. But his extraordinary creativity was not to be limited just to architecture, as can be seen in some 1,000 projects, including, along with many buildings, design icons such as the Aalto vase. His first building hit the German architectural landscape like a bolt of lightning. Usually, the beginning of an architect's career is marked by smaller commissions such as a single-family house. Daniel Liebeskind's first work, however, was the complex Jewish museum in Berlin, which made him world-famous at a stroke. With his plans for high-rise buildings in the Chicago of the 1890s, Louis Sullivan declared himself a revolutionary. His approach was very simple. A skyscraper, he announced, must be tall, every inch of it tall. The force and power of altitude must be in it. The glory and pride of exhalation must be in it.